Join the Bhakti podcast with deep insights into all matters spiritual. Like and subscribe to keep up to date with your inner self.
Amagyanathimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Jakshurunmilitam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Zakrachatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Sabatutam Parichana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishagan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagadapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Dabda Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishapana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupescha Kripa Sintupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. What a beautiful, beautiful verse. This translation again. For one who always remembers me, without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pṛthā, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So even the verse in itself, there is so much there. Always remembering Krishna. In Bhagavad Gītā there are several occasions where Krishna is encouraging us to always remember him. And the most prominent place is in the 18th chapter, text 65. Just before that famous verse of 66, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja, surrender unto me. Give up all dharmas, all other processes, and have no fear. I will clear up all your karmic reactions. That's what Krishna says in 1866. So that is, remembering Krishna is just a verse before that. Manmana bhavamat bhakto madhyachi mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te pratichane priyosi me. Always remember me, Krishna is saying. Always remember me. Offer your homage unto me. Worship me. Offer your obeisances to me. And surely, you're doing this, you will come to me without fail. Krishna, Lord Krishna also says, I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. He speaks to Arjuna. So there we are encouraged to remember Krishna, and there is an instruction in the Vedas, the supreme instruction, supreme, above all other instructions. Always remember Krishna, and the opposite is always stated, and never forget him. That's the supreme instruction. Always remember Krishna, never forget him. So living entities in this material world, they remember all kinds of things. They remember what they saw on the TV, they remember conversations, they remember so many things, what they read on Facebook and internet and this and that, and these are not spiritual things to remember. When we contemplate some material ideas, some sense gratification, some material entanglement. And it's entanglement. Material means entanglement. We're getting drawn in. Anyone had that experience? You just let me check that Facebook, just 2 minutes. And after an hour, what did I do? I'm still on Facebook, scrolling. This is called entanglement. It is meant like this, to be addictive. Therefore, the government tries to legislate that under 16 should be not allowed on social media, because they made it like this, addictive. If you're watching YouTube shorts or Facebook shorts, there is a story after another. It's meant to be addictive in order to keep you on their platform. This is a material maya. This is a material energy. It's meant to be addictive in every way. We're engaging a little bit in some sense pleasure here and there, and we're drawn into it deeper and deeper and deeper. And before we know, we have forgot Krishna for a very, very long time. So, against this, we have the Krishna consciousness movement. We have the chanting of Hare Krishna. We have the Bhagavad Gītā. We have the association of devotees. We have in the temples and centers, we have arati. We have a discourse on Shastra, Bhagavad Gītā, Srimad Bhagavatam. We have loads and loads of kirtan. And we have prasadam. This is meant to provide a counterweight to our material entanglement. When we are in the association of devotees, it's almost guaranteed that we will focus on Krishna. We will remember Krishna, at least for some time, when devotees come together, like tonight. We will remember Krishna. It's all about Krishna. We only speak about Krishna. Everything is Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Whatever Srila Prabhupada speaks is about Krishna. Whatever we speak from our realization about Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports and the verse is also all about Krishna. So for 1.5 hours, we have remembrance of Krishna. That's something. Millions of people don't even have that. Of course, that is not enough. That's not enough. The process will be very, very slow. If we only remember Krishna 1.5 hours once a week, then the process of purification will take a long time. We may not be able to finish that process in this lifetime. How long? We have mentioned it before. How long does that purification process take? How long does it take from start to finish? The start is starting to chant Hare Krishna. Even sporadically, here and there, a little bit, and we feel attracted. And so from starting to chant Hare Krishna, what to speak of starting regularly, every day, that's very potent, every day, to train the mind. The mind doesn't want to be regulated in any way. The mind wants to be capricious. The mind wants to do whatever comes in our mind. So if the mind is regulated, regular something, he hates it at the beginning. Therefore it is said, at the beginning Krishna consciousness is bitter. Sour and bitter. It's difficult because the mind screaming, no, I don't want to be regulated. I want to be free. I want to think of whatever I like. But at the end of that training process, then devotional service becomes like nectar. Because then the mind is trained and it becomes very obedient. And actually the mind at that stage, it will help us to remember Krishna, not obstructing us, throwing us away. It will help us. As we have mentioned the other week, it's like a dog who pulls the owner in all directions and follows just his nose and his senses. But if the dog has been properly trained, the dog will not pull. He will walk as quick as his master is walking. His master is stopping, the dog will stop. His master is carrying on walking, the dog will walk. Untrained dog, he wants to just follow his own senses, mostly his nose, smell. Or he sees another dog. He doesn't care if the master is standing, he will just pull. I remember I had some dog when I didn't have the dog, my uncle. I went into vacation, summer vacation, and he took me to the forest with his little dog. And at one point I was able to, he thought, you hold the dog on the leash, and before I knew, the dog had pulled me into the ditch. So strong, not a big dog, he pulled me into the ditch. So that's when the dog is just following his scent and smells something he wants to run after. So the mind needs to be trained. A bit of attachment, attraction may be said to Krishna, but the real training of the mind starts with a regular practice in devotional service, and the prime and supreme practice in devotional service is Shravanam Kirtanam, chanting Hare Krishna. Shravanam, hearing, Kirtanam, chanting. First of all, we have to hear. Like in a kirtan, we're doing a kirtan at the temple. Then whoever leads the kirtan, he's singing and everybody is repeating. So if we don't listen what the lead chanter, singer is pronouncing, then how can we follow? We have seen that also. That devotees don't listen. And the tune changes, and they're still thinking that's a tune, singing that's a tune. Then it becomes a mishmash. So we have to listen and then repeat. Listen, repeat, listen, repeat. That spiritual life is listen, repeat, listen, repeat. Shravanam Kirtanam, Shravanam Kirtanam, Shravanam Kirtanam. We don't say and speak anything we haven't heard. That's a qualification. Otherwise, if we just speak something which our mind is dictating us, then that is called mental speculation. We want to keep far away from mental speculation. The mind is not running free and wild like an untrained dog. No. We properly hear, and what we hear, we repeat. That's all our business. We don't create our own Bhagavad Gītā. We don't create nothing of our own. Srila Prabhupada used to say, if I have any qualification, then, because sometimes people said, oh, Swamiji, you have done such great things. And he said, no, I haven't done anything greater. If I have any qualification, it is that I have repeated what I heard from my spiritual master. That's all. Not creative thinking. Not in that field. We just repeat what Guru Maharaj has spoken. And Krishna, we repeat. We can have our own realizations. That's a different story. Our own understanding, what we have realized, because we need to realize if we just repeat like a parrot, that will not help us very much. And Srila Prabhupada is actually saying intellectual, book knowledge, and very strong words he's using, book knowledge is useless. So just like when one is at school or university, book knowledge, that's very much wanted. You just repeat what you have learned from the book. You don't need to really deep realizing it. Just repeat, and you get good grades. So that's not the Krishna conscious process. Book knowledge is useless. We could ask, how do we realize that knowledge? There's two terms. Jnana, that is knowledge, book knowledge. And the other term is vijnana, which is realized knowledge. So knowledge, we may start with a book knowledge, but we have to realize, how do we realize what we're reading and what we're hearing tonight in Bhagavad Gītā? How do we realize that? We have to put it into action. Bhagavad Gītā has been hundreds of years available in the Western countries, in India, and millions and billions of years. Bhagavad Gītā was available in Bharat or in that universe since the beginning of the universe, because Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gītā to Lord Brahma. So from the time of Lord Brahma, billions of years, Bhagavad Gītā was known. From Lord Brahma to Manu to Ikshvaku, it's all explained in the Gita. In this way, Bhagavad Gītā came originally into the society of Kshatriyas, great administrators, and then it came down into human society by Lord Krishna's wonderful mercy. And then it was re-spoken again 5,000 years ago. So we have to listen and repeat. Nothing new. So here, Lord Krishna says, if one always remembers me without deviation, that is not an easy thing. Where is a deviation? What does that mean? We remember Krishna, and then our mind gets deviated so easily. Even while we chant Hare Krishna. I have seen it. We've seen it every Saturday. Someone is chanting Hare Krishna, and by the third mantra, suddenly the lips stop moving. What's happening? If in a kirtan the lips stop moving, that means the mind has gone somewhere else. There's no more chanting. The mind has deviated. That we need to train ourselves without deviation. Rarely, but sometimes if the kirtan is very ecstatic, then every mantra is chanted by everyone all the time throughout the kirtan, if the kirtan is ecstatic. But if the devotee's mind is walking away to somewhere else, the kirtan can never get ecstatic, because Sankirtan, kirtan means all together. It's not just one person. Last Saturday, I made the point. Don't let me do the heavy lifting on my own. Yes, I can do the chanting, but if devotees don't participate in the chanting, and the mind's going somewhere else, and the kirtan can never come to a truly ecstatic level. It's Krishna. The Mahamantra is Krishna. We have to really appreciate and invite Krishna into our heart. Otherwise it will be just a mechanical kirtan. I asked last Saturday, how much would you give yourself between 1 and 10 out of 10 of having chanted along every mantra, every repeat of the Hare Krishna mantra? Well, devotees were honest. That's nice to be honest. Devotees were honest. 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Nobody said 10 out of 10. And I can corroborate that. Because devotees and the mind goes away sometimes, which is not helpful. So playing an instrument and the mind is focusing on the instrument and they forget to chant Hare Krishna. The instrument is not important. The chanting of Hare Krishna is important. The instrument is secondary. The midangam, the kartals, that's secondary, the shakers, tambourine. Better if we are deviated from chanting Hare Krishna while we playing the midangam. Better don't play the midangam, just chant. We can do without midangam, but we cannot do without chanting Hare Krishna. And then I said, if I give myself between 1 and 10 out of 10, it's 10 out of 10. I have to, because I was a lead chanter, lead singer. So that's important. Without deviation, this rascal mind wants to deviate. So therefore, the next step is committing to chanting regularly every day. Without regular chanting, the mind will be never trained, or it will take a very, very long time. And we might not even finish that process of advancing in Krishna consciousness, of always remembering Krishna. And what happens if we don't finish in this lifetime? The lifetime is short. We think we have so much time. Oh, every week, every Wednesday, another week gone, another week gone, oh, another month gone, another year gone, and the years and decades moving past, and then it's time to leave the body. Everyone will come to that point where we have to leave our body behind. And if we haven't finished the process of Krishna consciousness, and we not always remembering Krishna, then we'll have to come back. Ben, welcome, Hare Krishna. And welcome back means, not welcome back, we have to come back. It means, coming back means another material body. Can we imagine what it is, another material body? Being cramped in the womb of a mother for 9 months, a very uncomfortable position. For the first so many months unconscious, and then consciousness, we become conscious. And every food, spicy food, mother eats, oh, let's have some sabji with chilies. Immediately the child suffers. Oh, chilies! Oh, hot, hot, hot! My delicate skin, the embryo, the baby in the womb is very, very delicate. Anything on the skin is, we know when the baby is born, is very delicate skin. When an old person, old man, old woman, not so delicate anymore. Our skin becomes like leather. But previously, as a small child, or to speak a baby, it's so delicate. So in the womb, all that food is affecting the baby. The mood of the mother is affecting the baby. If she is in emotional distress, the child in the womb will partake in that emotional distress also. If there's some shouting between husband and wife, and the child in the womb is getting traumatized by that as well. So from the start, even not being born, the trauma is already happening. What to speak, the trauma of birth. Why the children are crying when after they are born? Scientists say, oh, because the lungs have to open up and it's good to go. Actually, it's painful. And what they're doing in the hospital, if the child takes birth in the hospital, they'll be for 9 months in the dark womb. What happens in the dark womb? So suddenly the birth is happening, and it's a bright light in the hospital. That's painful for the eyes. Painful. Sometimes they have some accident happens, a miners underground in a coal mine, diamond mine, gold mine, some accident, and they cannot come out, and they need to be rescued, and they're staying underground for a week, 10 days or more, until they get rescued. What they're doing to those miners, they're putting some blindfold over their eyes, because they have been in the dark for so long, they're coming to the light. It's very painful. So put some blindfold, just keep them in the dark, and gradually, so make them accustomed to the light. So the baby is the same. We don't think about that. Birth in the hospital, no, full light on her. So that's painful. And to be realizing I'm back in the material world, that's also painful. Shastra says if the child is very fortunate in the womb, he can remember his previous birth, or many previous births. Not necessarily every child, if the child is fortunate, Shastra says. Like Bharat Maharaj, he was fortunate, he was an advanced devotee. When he had to take birth in the body of a deer, he could remember he was Bharat Maharaj before. So as a deer, he stayed close to sages and heard Bhagavad Gītā and the chanting of the sages as a deer. And then, as a result of that, his next birth, he was born as Chat Bharat, a human body again. And he could remember his life as a deer and his previous life as Maharaj Bharat. By the way, Maharaj Bharat is such a famous and great personality that the whole India has been called Bharat Varsha after Bharat Maharaj. At that time, Bharat Varsha was extending all over the world. One kingdom, Bharat Varsha. And then it splinters up in so many kingdoms and smaller kingdoms. And so, said remembering without deviation, that has to be practiced. Again, therefore we strongly encourage devotees to chant regularly. Beads, on beads, that's very nice. Tulsi beads, we get some extra benefit, extra blessings. Tulsi Devi is such a great devotee of Lord Krishna. If she gives her mercy, then that helps us in our spiritual journey. It may be just one round, but regular. So therefore we have not created, we haven't created that, we have reinstituted this Bhakti Vriksha program. We have already done it some 20 years ago, and before as well. In the previous temple we have done Bhakti Vriksha ceremonies. Now we have reinstituted again. Why? To help devotees train the mind. To help devotees regularly chant one round of Hare Krishna every day. And the next step after Shraddhavan, Bhakti Sevak, 4 rounds. Krishna Sevak, Krishna Satak, 8 rounds. Srila Prabhupada Ashraya, 16 rounds. So gradually we want to help the devotees of increasing the number of rounds chanted, because the more we chant Hare Krishna regularly, the more we will be able to remember Krishna. Naturally it will come, just by chanting Hare Krishna. If we chant here and there Hare Krishna, it will take a long time. We want to cook something, and we're turning the fire off sometimes. Rituan Prabhuji, Ki Jai, Hare Krishna. Look what a big group we have tonight. And that is almost regular now. That's most wonderful. So if we cook in the kitchen, and after 10-15 minutes we turn off the fire, and we're doing something else, and then we turn it back on, and off, and on, and off, how long it will take until the meal is cooked? Long time. Because in the meantime, the meal which has been a little bit heated up, it will cool down again. And it takes so much more effort to bring it back to temperature and time. So with devotional service, it's just the same. If we turn off the fire of chanting Hare Krishna for a few days, a week, a month, a year, or many years, then we can be almost for certain that we get another chance. Of course we get another chance next lifetime. We continue where we left off. Can you imagine? We chanting even regularly 1 round of Hare Krishna. Shraddhavan, first level of the Bhakti Vriksha process. And then we leave the body. We get another human body for sure, because we have engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. And next lifetime, okay, 4 rounds. Krishna Satak. Krishna Satak, 2nd level. Next lifetime, 3rd, 4th level. We could be like this. Of course we can jump. We don't need to chant 1 round and then 4 and 8 and 16. Well, devotees starting chanting 16 straight from the start. But we have so busy lives. This Bhakti Vriksha program is just there as a crutch, as something to help us to bridge the gap between starting to chant Hare Krishna and chant 16 rounds every day. That's Srila Prabhupada's standard. I mentioned some couple of weeks back to one of our devotees, I would love to give the mercy to devotees and ask them, even for initiation, to chant just 4 rounds or 8 rounds. Okay, you're ready. You can get initiated. You're chanting now 4 rounds. You're chanting 8 rounds. Let's give out the mercy. But I cannot do that. I have no authority to do that, even if I wanted to do that. Why? Because we're following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada has set the standard 16 rounds. He's an acharya. Originally it was 64 rounds in the Gaudiya Math, where Srila Prabhupada comes from in India, the organization of his spiritual master Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. 64. If someone didn't chant 64 rounds, he was considered to be fallen. 64 rounds, 8 hours a day chanting Hare Krishna. Minimum. What to speak of Haridas Thakur, he chanted all day long. Therefore he's called the Nam Acharya, the Acharya of the holy name. So, but then Srila Prabhupada, he could understand devotees here in the West with a fickle mind and diverted their attention diverted so easily. They will not be able to chant 64 rounds. Srila Prabhupada announced it. He was sitting on the Vyasasan. He said, if you don't chant 64 rounds, you cannot go back home to Godhead. You'll be fallen. That's what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta instituted. 64 rounds. And then when the devotees heard that, they became completely discouraged. They were thinking, I cannot do that. I will never go back home to Godhead if it's 64 rounds. I just can't do it. And Srila Prabhupada could see that. He said, okay. He negotiated with Krishna. That's an Acharya. He, by hook and by crook, he tries to find ways of getting the conditioned souls attracted to Krishna and to help them step by step to make progress. So Srila Prabhupada could see, and he said, okay, 32 rounds, you must chant. If you don't chant 32 rounds every day, then you will not be able to go back to the spiritual world. And of course, everybody wants to go back to the spiritual world. Devotees have enough of this material entanglement here. And still the devotees were discouraged, and Srila Prabhupada could see that. And then he said, okay, 16 rounds and nothing less. And he negotiated these 16 rounds with Krishna. Krishna will take everyone back home to Godhead if we chant 16 rounds every day and following the Bhakti Yoga process, understanding, realizing Krishna, thinking of Krishna, and following the process of Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, up to Vachana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. That last one, Prema, is love of God. We have spoken last week how this original training process of regulating the mind, and it is just the mind, that's what it is. Regulating the mind with a regulative process of chanting certain amount of Hare Krishna and following the principles. Of course, following the principles, these 4 principles are getting us to the standard of a civilized human being. Those who don't follow a vegetarian diet, who don't care about intoxication and gambling and illicit sex, they're not civilized human beings. They're just like animals. Because animals, they don't have set regulation. Wherever sex is available, okay, they go for it. And they eat anything without consideration. So that's animal life. So civilized human life starts if we cut down these 4 pillars of material life. And these are the pillars of material life. This is everywhere. Culture, literature, media, film, internet, everywhere you find people eating meat, fish or eggs, taking intoxication, gambling, and gambling, not only gambling, mental speculation falls under the heading of gambling. Mental speculation, we have just mentioned that. What does it mean? We don't repeat what we have heard from Shastra and of our Guru Maharaj. We're making up our own. Let the mind range free, creative ideas, and think that is we understanding spirituality or Krishna. No, far from it. We don't engage in speculative mental exercise. It's just a mind. The mind is very creative. We let it run free, then we're creating mental speculation, literature of mental speculation, even some pradayas based on mental speculation, and anything. No, we follow the previous Acharya, and that is Srila Prabhupada. So here, Vijay is here. Look at that. Vijay from Birmingham. Wow, thank you so much, Vijay. It's so very nice to see you. That is absolutely great. How are you?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Okay.
Look, what a nice Vaishnava, Sangha, Sadhu Sangha we have here tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you are the tip of the iceberg. You, wonderful. Thank you for being here. So, Krishna says, Lord Krishna, if we always remember him without deviation, then he is easy to obtain. Of course, we want to obtain Krishna. You want to. And for yogis, it's not easy. They have to go to the forest. Not the modern yogis. They're not yogis. They're just gymnastics. So they have the proper yogi has to go to the forest and put a deer skin on the ground and a soft cloth over and sitting there and be completely celibate. Not family, relationship. No, celibate. That's a real yogi. And then controlling in a yoga asana. We had that in this chapter and in the previous chapter, in the 6th chapter, yoga chapter, all the way the different yogas, Ashtanga yoga, Hatha yoga, Jnana yoga, Karma yoga. All of these yogas. Yoga posture. Straight. In a line, spine in a line. You get some pushing the life air up through the chakras and so on. Kundalini yoga, some call it. And the eyes half closed, staring on the tip of the nose. All this is not easy. It's very difficult. It may take many lifetimes to be successful in yoga. What is successful? To have the darshan of the Paramatma, Vishnu Murti, in the heart. Like Dhruva saw Lord Vishnu right in front of him. That is the aim of the yogi process. So not at all easy. But here, Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna describes the Bhakti yoga process. It's very easy. All what we need is to remember Krishna without deviation. That is not easy, but we can train the mind to be less devious and less and less and less. How long does it take? From beginning of chanting Hare Krishna to being purified fully, Srila Prabhupada said about 40 years. On another occasion he said 50 years is more than enough. So that gives us a good idea what is ahead of us. If we think that is too much to dedicate our life for 40, 50 years to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness and not returning to this material world, then we'll have to just come back and carry on where we stopped and come back and again and again and again, as we have done since millions of lifetimes. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said, don't be a miser. A miser is someone who is a millionaire. You ask him for £1 and he won't give it to you. He's a miser. He has so much money, millions, and £1 he cannot afford. So we have likewise spent millions of lifetimes enjoying or trying to, not even enjoying, trying to enjoy Krishna's energy. It's his energy, it's Krishna's energy. Deviation gunamai mama maya turatyaya. This material energy is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me, they can easily cross beyond it. Again, same as here, surrender to Krishna. What's that surrender? Always remember Krishna. Taking good association of devotees and chanting 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 16 rounds of Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gītā, Srimad Bhagavatam, taking part in Kirtan, and only respecting Krishna Prasadam. That's the emphasis is on that. At the beginning we may feel proud, I eating Krishna Prasad, yes, but eat you only Krishna Prasad? Not really. I eat in Krishna Prasad in the temple, and sometimes at home, and at other times I eat not Krishna Prasad. And Krishna is also very, very picky. You cannot just offer any and everything to Krishna. He will only accept certain foods. He doesn't accept food with onions and garlic. Therefore, a sincere devotee, serious devotee, if Krishna does not eat onion and garlic, it cannot be offered to the Lord, then I will also not eat onion and garlic. Of course, there are exceptions also. It's not cut and dry. When Srila Prabhupada was at a live member's house, these people in India, they're not trained. They were very nice people, very appreciative of Krishna consciousness and listening to the philosophy and all of that. And then they wanted to, out of the goodness of their hearts, they wanted to offer some food to the devotees. And yes, so they cooked a nice big dinner. And then the first day, the devotees stayed for some time. First day it was all fine. Second, after the third day, some onion pieces appeared in the sabji. I couldn't do it. Everybody is so accustomed to cooking with onions and garlic. So some onion pieces appeared and more. And then the devotee saying, Srila Prabhupada, there's some onions in the soup. So then Srila Prabhupada said, ignore it for now. Right? Ignore it for now. They make such an endeavor of serving the devotees. So that preaching to those people, that helping those people to make progress, that was more important than really strictly. I mean, he could have said, okay, your soup is not fit. There are onions inside. I will reject it. Cook something else. That would have been very harsh, and it would have hurt the feeling of the host. And so he said to the devotees, ignore for now. For now, not for always. There wasn't a green light for eating onions and garlic for the rest of their life. No, that was in a particular situation. And there was another situation similar, quite almost identical. And so I said, Srila Prabhupada, there are onions in the sabji. And then Srila Prabhupada said, I don't see onions. Same thing. We just ignore for now. So we have to only offer food that Krishna likes, that Krishna accepts, and only eating Krishna Prasad is not that difficult. Of course, that immediately takes restaurant food out of the equation. Even though the restaurant food may be vegetarian, but the food should also be cooked by devotees in a devotional mood. Very important. It is said in Shastra that grains cooked on fire, particular grains it's mentioned, grains cooked on fire takes and absorbs the karma of the cook, carries the karma of the cook. Not so much other things, mainly grains. Somehow they carrying the karma of the cook. So we go into the restaurant, and it may be even vegetarian dish. Okay, pizza, margarita, I take. But the cook is a meat eater, a woman hunter. He takes regular intoxication and gets drunk in the pub. So what kind of karma this man has? And that goes into the food. And we eating the food and think, oh, it's vegetarian, it's all right. Huh? It's margarita pizza, no meat inside, just cheese, lots of cheese, and black olives and pineapple and whatever. So then we take on that karma of the cook. Means we get the sinful reaction of the cook for his a woman hunting, for his intoxication, for his unclean meat eating, that karma we take on ourselves. Of course, there is a bit of a shortcut, because you might feel now, oh, I can never ever go and get some outside food. I have to cook everything at home. There is a shortcut. Let's say you're on the airplane. When that food is cooked, who knows by who? And you have nothing else, of course, better is to take your own food on the airplane. But if that's not possible, or that was missed, then there's airplane food. So we can offer that food, if it is vegetarian, then no meat and fish and eggs inside. We offer it sincerely to Krishna, and it gets purified from that karma of the cook. And there is also karma of killing vegetables. That's also there. Of course, there is no comparison of killing vegetables and killing an animal. Some are arguing. I have had that. Some students argued. That was right on Connaught Place in Delhi. We were just sitting there and we eating something before our flight. It was many hours to wait. And then naturally we put, as devotees, a group we had, we put our rubbish in the bin, which was 150 meters away from us. But nobody else did that. Everybody dropped their rubbish wherever they were sitting. So some people were observing that. We putting the rubbish in the bin, and they appreciated that, and they came. That was a contact. Just by example. Good example is so important. As devotees, we need to set a good example. By that good example, people came. And they're asking us, oh, you Hare Krishna devotees, and this and that. And we ended up eventually chanting Hare Krishna in the midst of Delhi on the Connaught Square, and a large group of people had assembled, and they chanted with us Hare Krishna. What a preaching we said. They all get purified by chanting Hare Krishna. And then there were some students at the end, and they were arguing, what's wrong with meat eating? Western educated Indian boys, forgotten their culture, looking towards the West, wanting to become Westerners, money, money, money. So what's wrong with eating meat? And we said, that's killing the animal. Don't you know? Shastra says, if you kill a cow, as much hair on the body of the cow there are, so many lifetimes you have to suffer. Particularly a cow, because cow is considered our mother. Not that when the mother is not feeding us anymore, we kill her. When she's old, like the cow is not giving any more milk, kill her. So he said, I'm not killing animals. I'm buying it in the shop. He thought that was a clever answer. So we explained to him, like if someone is stealing some theft, some goods, some jewelry in the jewelry shop, for instance. If someone is stealing, he's punished by the law, isn't it? He's caught and going for a prison sentence. But if he has moved that someone else is selling his stolen goods, he has someone to sell it. That person is also punished because he's part in the criminal chain. So it's the same way we explained to that student. When you buy the meat and you know someone has killed that animal, you partake in that karmic reaction. He was shocked. He was truly shocked. Because he thought, I'm not killing the animal, so I'm fine. So, back to the verse. Krishna says, I'm easy to obtain. for those who remembering me always without deviation. And why? Lord Krishna gives an answer as well. Because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Constant engagement, that's wanted. In that case, a constant engagement is just remembering Krishna. That is devotional service. Sometimes people ask, devotional service, what does it mean? What do I have to do? Do I have to wash the pots? Do I have to polish the brass? Do I have to cook? Do you have to clean the temple? Do what? What is devotional service? Because generally the understanding service means doing something with your hand, with your feet. Of course not. Only that. There is intellectual service as well. But in that case of devotional service, just a simple process of chanting Hare Krishna. It's a simple process of remembering Krishna, even just remembering Krishna. This is devotional service, Shravanam. What you speak of chanting, Kirtanam. Next step is Vishnu Smaranam, remembering Vishnu. So this is the beginning of our spiritual life. Very easy process. Just by remembering, we're going back home to Godhead. Now let's look a little bit. No, let's not look a little bit. We have not really even spoken about the purport, where Srila Prabhupada really, he mentions these principles, yes, of course, and he mentions also the different moods or rasas, from neutrality to servitude to friendship to parental affection to conjugal relationship. He mentions that as well. We have spoken in a previous discourse about these things. But throughout the purport, Srila Prabhupada stresses this verse is all about pure devotional service. Pure devotion. There's a beautiful verse. Anya pilasita shunyam jnana karma samavritam. It explains that pure devotion is defined if there is no mixture of karma and jnana. What does it mean? No mixture of karma and jnana. We have no fruitive desires and no mental speculation. We just are dedicated to Krishna. One may think that's not possible. Yes, that's possible. Give it time. Do it regularly. Before you know, 30, 40 years, most of our fruitive activities will be gone. Most of our mental speculation will be out of our system. What is left? If there's no more fruitive desires to enjoy this material world, and there's no more mental speculation, then our devotional service becomes almost pure. Pure. Then we come to that stage, we come a little bit further, and we're on the liberated stage, liberated platform. Liberated from the three modes of material nature. Ignorance, passion, and goodness. Shuddha Sattva, beyond. That we want to be. That we want to achieve. So, here we stop. Also, there is so much more in the purport. We could go on for another hour easily. But any question, now it's question time. Abai, Amisha, any question, you just put it in the chat. And we'll put your hand up. Okay, here, Abai has a question. He's very quick. So you have to be quick. So first comes, first served. So I read it out. Abba is asking, please could you help to explain surrender to us? To me, it means trusting Krishna. That he knows best and even the seemingly worst things that is sent along is meant for our benefit. Trusting the process, trusting Prabhupada works, but also giving up our independent nature. Please, could you help us understand better? Thank you. Good question, beautiful question, Abhay. Thank you for that. Surrender. The surrender verse is, of course, in Bhagavad Gītā 1866, Sarvadhamam Parityajya. Just surrender unto me. Trusting Krishna. If we surrender to Krishna, we have to trust Krishna, right? We cannot surrender to anyone or anything if we don't trust it. We have to trust. Very important, trusting Krishna. So it may not be there at the beginning, that trust. Therefore, that surrender will be very minimal. Sometimes, seemingly, as Abhay explains, some bad things are happening to us. How shall a devotee take that? Someone with very little faith, when something, so to speak, bad, of course, ultimately there is nothing good or bad. That's our material concept, good and bad. That doesn't exist, really. It's our judgment of hindering our sense gratification, really. So, if something seemingly bad happens to us, as Abhay is saying, we have to understand Krishna knows best. Krishna has a bigger vision. It's a bigger picture. We have that small vision. Something seemingly bad happens now and we cannot look beyond that. But in the wider context, in the longer context, that seemingly bad is actually helping us. Perhaps even just helping us to surrender to Krishna. Something bad happens. Generally, when something bad happens, people run to Krishna or to God in the wider context, right? Something bad happens. When everything is going fine, nobody runs to God. Nobody. When 9/11 in America happened with Twin Towers, after these towers collapsed, and it was horrible. People jumped from the 30s, 20s floors, that jumped out of the windows because there was so much fire inside. They jumped to a certain death. And people have seen that, heard about it, seen that, witnessed that. People just jumping out of windows. It's a horrible thing to see, to witness. Then after that, the Twin Towers came down of the World Trade Center. Then there was a huge uptick in people visiting the church, the mosque, the temple. A huge uptick. Because when things are, on an individual basis also, when things are going not so nice, then people running towards Krishna, which is good. Because at least they contacting Krishna. It's good. There are others, they will never contact God. When something bad happens, they're cursing everyone. No question of God in the picture at all. But anyone who is a little bit of pious, they will turn to God. I called them, that's my own term, it just came in my mind a long time ago, fire brigade devotees. When everything is going fine, then the fire brigade are far out of the mind. But when the house is on fire, then, okay, call 999. Fire brigade, come, take, the house is on fire. So, that happens. So, Krishna knows best. And trusting Prabhupada. And Abhay says it works. Yes, I can attest that. It works, 100%. No question about it. And giving up our independent nature. That's, we have spoken about, the mind is so independent. No. We have to regulate that mind. We are 100% dependent on Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. But you already understood that. There is nothing more to say. Thank you. Anyone else? We have just 5 minutes more. Any other question? Amit. Vijay. Anyone? Vijay, what is your conclusion for tonight?
I've got a question.
Fantastic. Thank you.
After the first initiation, Diksha.
After the proper Diksha, first initiation, yes?
Yeah, after the first initiation, Diksha. Generally, people find that life is a bit topsy-turvy. I've heard that situation occurs because the Guru Tattva will come and test the devotee, try and negate any kind of material conditioning like false ego, pride, lust, greed, and anger. So they try and cleanse a person of those type of conditions. That's why life can be a bit up and down after you've done the first initiation. Because I've heard, is it the Guru Tattva take the karma? They take the karma of the devotee. Is that right?
Okay. Okay, thank you for this thoughtful question. Yes, at the time of initiation, the spiritual master takes on the karma of the disciple. Why? To help the disciple. Because the spiritual master wants to see the disciple making progress. The devotees ask Srila Prabhupada, what is the most pleasing to you? What service? Is it book distribution? Is it Sankirtan? Is it Harinam? Whatever is it? And Srila Prabhupada, the most pleasing is you become Krishna conscious. So the spiritual master lifts the burden of the disciple so the disciple can make further spiritual progress. But these tests you're speaking about, they're not only coming after initiation, these tests are coming when we make progress in our spiritual life. So more we are taking responsibility of our spiritual life, so more will be tested, because Krishna wants to help us to become purified. So if we trying to make some progress in our Krishna consciousness, but at the same time there is a good amount of pride, ego, false ego still within us. Krishna says himself, he doesn't tolerate pride in his devotees. That's absolutely no. But we are all proud at various stages in our life, so that pride has to be overcome. And that will be tested. Through the agency of the material modes, our pride will be smashed. Every devotee has some story to tell, how their pride has been smashed. One can be proud on the material life, and now I become a devotee, but now I'm proud of my learning, of my knowledge, or how nice kirtan I'm singing, my reputation, I become proud. There are so many opportunities of being proud, even as a devotee. Krishna will not tolerate it. Either we get rid of it ourselves, or most likely Krishna will create circumstances where our pride will be curbed. Let's say curbed. If we really want to make spiritual progress, then we will let go of our false ego. Sooner so better. And we should, as Shastra says, one important verse Lord Chaitanya spoke. That verse we should, like a necklace, carrying it around our neck. What's that verse? Trinada pisunichena tarora pisahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. To become more humble than the straw grass in the street. Everyone walks over it and it doesn't complain. That's a sign of humility. To be more tolerant than a tree. It stays in the winter, in the summer, hot, cold, rain, ice, people taking branches and eventually cutting down the tree. Very tolerant, the tree is not complaining, so we should become more humble than the straw in the street and more tolerant than a tree, devoid of false prestige. Very important. Prestige. I'm so great. Such a great material enjoyer. Then I become a devotee. I'm such a great spiritualist, a great preacher, a great cook, a great musician, a great pujari, and all of that. That pride has to go. So if we, and then that verse says, giving respect to others without expecting respect in return. That's hard. Respecting everyone. Generally people, I respect you. Why? Because you respect me. That's easy. But I respect you. If you respect me or not, it doesn't matter. I respect you because I see the super soul, Krishna, in your heart. That's where my respect comes in. Anyone. Not just those in my community, in my society, of my skin color, of my nationality. I respect everyone, even the ant on the ground. And then, Lord Chaitanya says, with this mentality of humility, tolerance, and respecting every living entity, not just humans, every living entity. In that state of mind, now that's very important, one can chant Hare Krishna continuously. So if one is proud, not humble, and he don't respect anybody except himself, so it's not possible to chant Hare Krishna continuously. And we want to chant Hare Krishna continuously, as in this verse today. Chanting Hare Krishna continuously means always remembering Krishna without deviation. And here we stop for tonight. It was a beautiful, beautiful verse. Thank you very much. And I look forward what our Ramananda Prabhu makes from that. Okay, we'll see you on Saturday. There is more in the chat. No, that was it. Okay, Amisha, you have one more question? Short and sweet? Okay, go ahead. Amisha writes, I have a question about chanting. 16 rounds is a minimum Srila Prabhupada negotiated with Krishna, you said. If, however, some days we chant more than 16, say 20, 25, and more, and the next day chant, keep, set up, revert to chanting 16 or 17, is there a danger of mind not being regulated or controlled? No. More is always an extra, so more is better. This chanting of 16 rounds is a minimum. It's a platform. We don't drop lower than that, but more we can always do. So that's we revert back to 16. Yes, the more so better. We want to come and we'll speak at a separate meeting about how we can come to the stage of continuous chanting, like that verse Trinada Pisunichana. Always chanting, continuous chanting, and there are various forms. It doesn't mean necessarily loud chanting, but we will cover that another time. Okay, we stop here. Thank you, Amisha and Abhay and Vijay, for your wonderful questions. Hare Krishna.
Join the Bhakti podcast with deep insights into all matters spiritual. Like and subscribe to keep up to date with your inner self.